Okay, now have I got a story for you today. So, today it's been pretty slow due to the coronavirus and everything going on. And we've been making, very little money. So I've just been sitting out here in my car waiting for other vehicles to pull up because I don't really have much else to do. I've already swept, I've cleaned the pumps, I've taken out the trash, I've done everything. Cleaned the bathrooms, whatever needs to be done, right? Pretty much everything's done. So I'm just out here sitting in my car, watching some videos that I need for my forensic psychology class. And just waiting for cars to show up. And anyway, this truck pulls in behind a U-Haul that I'm sitting next to. And he goes inside, and while he's inside, I keep hearing these noises over by the U-Haul. And my first thought was like, okay, either this guy came back out, I didn't notice him come back out, and he's getting the U-Haul, or someone in the truck is checking out the U-Haul. Like looking at the back and all that. But it turns out that was not what was happening at all. When I looked back behind me after a while of hearing these noises over by the U-Haul, because I wasn't really paying that much attention to it at first, I looked over, and there's this guy getting out of the U-Haul. He was getting out. He was exiting the U-Haul. And I just kept watching it because I wasn't sure if I could believe what I was seeing, right? And so I'm over here looking at the U-Haul, waiting to see what happens. And this dude's got like a duffel bag and then like a tote bag and like maybe another bag, I don't know. But then he's like really bundled up in a couple layers, and he had like this orange jacket on, so he's very visible, even though it was a little darker out here at the time. And so I see him get out and start walking away from the car, and that was when it like was cemented in my head that this guy had no affiliation with the guy that just went inside. And so I went inside to tell my supervisor about this, right? And I guess I should back up for a second, though. Before I went inside, I confronted him. I got out of my car because he didn't notice that I was in my car, obviously, that an employee was sitting over here right next to where he got out of the U-Haul. So I get out of my car and I'm like, hey, sir, did you just come out of that U-Haul? And he like kind of made a motion like he may have heard me, but he didn't want to acknowledge me. And so I kept following him through the pumps, and I was like, hey, sir, are you just not going to answer me? He was like, what? And I was like, did you just come out of the back of that U-Haul? And he was like, oh, no, I'm sorry, man, I just came out of the bushes. And I was like, no, you came out of the U-Haul. I just saw you. And now I'm going to let them know that we need to be locking or watching those U-Hauls, because we're not going to let you do that again, is what I said to him. Because, for one, with coronavirus going on and people renting out these U-Hauls, they constantly have to be wiped down. So if that guy, some homeless guy is in there, wiping his fucking grubby hands all over everything, that is not good for us or for the business or for the customers. He's not only getting the possibility of a virus and bacteria just all over that place, you have no idea what else that guy was doing back there. It looked clean enough when I went back there to check it out, but you never know what that guy was doing. We don't know if he actually had access to the inside of the truck or not. It was locked, but it doesn't mean that he didn't find some way to get into the front of the truck. We just don't know. So that's obviously a problem, right? So I was pretty annoyed and upset at him and just flabbergasted that this dude was coming out and then just totally having like oh, sorry, like it wasn't me. But first of all, there's no fucking bushes by that U-Haul. The only bushes are hedges, and they're on the opposite side of my vehicle. He came out from the right side of my vehicle. They're on the left side against the building. I would have seen him come out of the fucking bushes. I would have seen him in the bushes because they're hedges. Like, I would have seen him. And so the fact that he tried to lie and say he fucking came out of the bushes when he came out of a fucking open... The U-Hauls are backed up to an open field. So he literally gets out of a U-Haul into an open field with pretty much nothing around it. So there was no way I was going to buy his bullshit that he came out of the fucking bushes. And I let my coworker know, and she was like, what the fuck? And she was freaking out, and I let my assistant manager know, and then she watched him, and we watched him, and he walked all the way over to VP Fuels, which we made a joke that's like, maybe they just have shitty breakfast over there that he can afford or something, but this motherfucker just crossed the highway, though, like, just kept walking, like, he clearly did not want to get caught. And the thing is, though, it's like, obviously, I don't think we would have needed to get the police involved or anything like that, but it was an interesting thing that I noticed, that there was a police officer directly across the street where he went. Like, if we had wanted to, it probably would have been pretty easy to flag the dude down for trespassing. But at the same time, I, do have some sympathy for the guy. He does seem like he's homeless and traveling and, whatnot. And so I always I always have a little bit of sympathy and empathy and respect, for people doing that. So I understand that he wanted a place to sleep, and so the U-Haul probably did provide that. So in a way, I'm glad for that. But at the same time, you can't trespass on other people's property and then hide in a vehicle. That in particular is problematic, because if someone had rented out that U-Haul, or if one of us had go to check that U-Haul, that's not only a security risk, not only because of the virus, but it's a security risk in terms of physical health, not just your immune system. We don't know if that guy would have been violent. He didn't look violent. He didn't seem like he was a violent guy. I don't want to get that. I don't want to portray that. He didn't seem like it. But at the same time, it's one of the situations where we don't know if you are violent or not. We don't know. Like, this guy is just hanging out in the back of this U-Haul. It's like, worst case scenario, someone rents that U-Haul, drives it out somewhere, they open the back, and that dude kills them or some shit, or they get into an altercation, I mean, I know that obviously wasn't what happened, because he left the U-Haul, but it's still one of those things where it's like, dude, what? You don't know when these U-Hauls get picked up. You don't know who mans these U-Hauls. You don't know how often people look in these U-Hauls, and you're just going to go sleep in one? Like, a train car makes a bit more sense than this. I mean, the back of a U-Haul, that just seems like a sketchy, bad idea. But then again, who knows what sketchy, bad ideas that dude's made to get into the place in life where he is now. And again, I don't know. Maybe, you know what? Maybe this is all bad luck for him, and his situation isn't his fault at all. Maybe that's true, but it doesn't negate the fact that you should not illegally trespass on property and sleep in the back of a truck that's on property that's not yours. Especially not a rental truck that's going to go out to a lot of people during a time when a virus is very virulent and prevalent in society right now. I think that's about all I got to say about that. It was pretty incredible. Definitely a bit more sketched out to work here now. And we're definitely going to be locking those U-Hauls up or checking them every morning. So that's going to be a fun new little adventure and task for this job. But I think that's going to be it for today. Peace out, guys.